All right, so I'm going to do a video talking about my thoughts about the McMenamins in Tacoma. It finally opened yesterday, and if you saw the live stream, which cut off on us, you'll see kind of what it was about. We only made it into the doorway a little bit and into the Spanish room. I think it's the Spanish bar, maybe. And then it kind of shut off on us. Even though we had did more live stream, it basically shut off. And so, yeah, it just kind of ended abruptly. So I do apologize for that. But we actually have recorded like maybe another 10 minutes of that. And finally, it was just so chaotic. But I have to say, first impressions are going to be that it was just insane. I've never seen anything in Tacoma that could rival or top what I saw yesterday. There's never been anything here other than if you go to a concert or something like that at the Tacoma Dome or something. But there's been nothing here where you're going to have that many people at one place and the vibe was just intense. You had a lot of families that were there, you had a lot of couples that were there, a lot of singles that were there. You had people of all walks of life, all different age groups. Although most of the people that were there were probably my age or older. Um, there was several different places to go. The building is like a maze. It is a massive building that's 7 stories tall, and they've done something with every single floor. And it was, we didn't even get to see probably 25%, if that, because it was just so many people. It was so many people. It reminded me, in terms of just crowds and clustering, of Pike Place Market. When you're there, you're afraid for the kids to walk around because there's so many people that someone's going to step on a smaller kid because they are only looking up. There's so many things to look at. No one really looks down, and it's easy for them to step on kids, right? And that's how it was here. There were so many people that you were literally like bumping into everyone. And that was just how it was through the areas that we were. Now, there was one area that we actually sat down and ate at, and I think it was the Spanish bar, I believe. But it's where where they have tapas, and that area there was you basically could just find a table and sit down and eat. And so we went there. It was still very chaotic, but you're able to literally get great views of the city. You can also go out into the Spanish Steps and all of that. So it was first come, first serve as far as the table goes. As far as getting drinks at the bar, there was several times there was a line of people. And what's great about McMenamins is that each different bar or restaurant will offer different food and different drinks. So if you go to a different bar, they're not going to have any idea as to what this other bar serves. I mean, they probably know, but they're not going to serve the same drinks nor the same food. And it's completely different. And so it's even completely different revenue streams. You know, it's really crazy. Now, what I did like, raise my seat up a little bit. Sorry. What I did like about it was the fact that there was so much diversity. You know, the when you look at the menu, there were so many different things to choose from. Now, I have to say, I forget the restaurant that we went into. I'll put it down in the description box, but because there's so many there, there's so much to see. You will miss things. We were sitting at this one restaurant, and what I do have to say is what we first did, the reason why we got to the Spanish bar was we went to this restaurant, and there was a long wait. So we put our name on the wait list, and I think it was a 2 hour, either it was an hour or 2 hours. But they told us it could be up to 3 hours for a table. That's how bad it was. So we then went down to the Spanish bar and we had some, some tapas. We had a little bit of food because of the kids. And so what they do is they text you whenever they're ready, and then you can reply back with a one that yes, we want the table, or you can reply back or ignore it with a 9, I believe, or something like that. Noel was saying, and you declining it. The waiting time was long, right? When we did get into the restaurant, they called us. We went there directly. We cashed out at this one bar. We went to the other one, to the other restaurant, and it was on the fourth floor or the second floor. I'm getting it confused because it's so, excuse me, it was so chaotic there. But we sat down at the table and we literally didn't get our food for over an hour and a half. It took that long. So even though we sat down at the table, we didn't get our food, our main meal, until like an hour and a half. Now, in the meantime, we did have them bring out the kids a pizza, and so they were able to eat that. And, you know, we had drinks and things like that, and they were getting their little sodas and all that. So that was cool, because it helped them. I also said bring out ice cream, whatever you can to keep sweets quiet. Definitely do so. So they did that. But as far as our main meal, it took a while. Now, I wasn't a big fan of mine. It was a salmon burger. It was called something bomb burger. It wasn't that good because to me, it had coleslaw on it. It's just strange. It was a salmon fillet and then coleslaw underneath and the bun. It's not that good. In my opinion, not that good. Actually, Noelle talked me into it, and so she felt bad. I wanted what she ordered, but you know, being a gentleman, you let everybody else order first and you order last. Well, she ordered something, and I'm like, well, I'll take that too. We'll get something different, because Noelle's got this belief that we'll share food. Like, I don't like sharing my food, and she knows this. I never like sharing my food. What I get's mine, what you get is yours. None of this, give me half of yours and half of mine, and I don't do that, right? But anyhow, she was like, get something else, you know, try something different. And so I was like, well, with my gallstone issue, I'm kind of limited. I can't get certain things because I wanted fish and chips. Well, then she's like, well, get this bomb burger thingy thing down there. So I was like, I don't know. And so I was like, well, here, I'll just get the fish and chips. And she's like, no, why don't you get the such and such? So I was like, okay, fine, I'll get that. Well, I should have just said no. I'm going to stick with my fish and chips. And I didn't want the fish and chips because of the gallstone issue. It's taking a big risk. But I've been eating certain things and been okay. So I got that, and it wasn't that good. Now, the fries were good. And Noelle's dish, which was a shrimp something or another, it was great. It was tasty. The kids, their cheese pizza was pretty good. Kind of spicy though. The sauce is a little spicy for some kids. But overall, it was actually pretty good. The place was so busy they started to sell out of certain things, even certain drinks. They sold out. Like if you wanted to get like a lemonade or something, or a strawberry lemonade or whatever it was that Noelle was trying to get, they just didn't have it anymore. They sold out of it. We basically went there at like 7 o'clock, I believe, and they had already sold out. And so to me, and you saw people still going. After we left probably around 9:30. Was it? No, we got there at like 6:30 or so. We left like around 9:30, I believe. And so when we left, there were still people coming in, and we were able to take the train back. What's great about this is because people were talking about parking. This is something I brought up before, and I'll talk about a little bit later in another video. Parking is going to be a challenge for you. For one, it is a hotel as well. So there's like 40 rooms in there. And those 40 rooms, if you're a hotel guest, you obviously want parking space. They do have some parking there, but it's kind of first come, first serve as far as rooms go. And supposedly they're working on a plan with local garages around there, because there's parking garages around and parking areas around, other than street parking. So they're trying to work on that particular issue. But that's one of the concerns. Now, the other concern is if you're just coming to visit. This building I think they said is suitable for 1,000 people. I would say it had more than that, by far. Hold on one second. Okay. So I would say that it had more than that in it by far. By far. It had more than 1,000 people in it. And so you see all these people and where they have to park. They're parking on the street, they're parking in different areas. And that area has seen a lot of apartment development, right? And there's some condos and apartments that have been there for a while, up the street a little bit. And so now it's becoming a parking issue, which I figured it would because there's only so much parking. And if you're going to park to McMenamins, there's other places that you can park that's further down, like a block or so down, and it's street parking. But again, 1,000 people, if you basically say cut that down quite a bit and there's 250 cars that are being parked, that's 250 spaces that are being utilized. So it is a very tight squeeze. That's only going to get worse because right across the street, and if you saw the live stream, there was a good shot of the old City Hall building, which McMenamins was going to develop, but they backed out of it, and now it's being developed by Search Tacoma. But they're going to have restaurants in that. They're also going to have some co-working space in there, and they're going to have micro units. So they're going to actually have apartments inside of that building. So again, parking is not in that plan. So when you add the two right there, it's going to be a traffic issue. Now, we did not park there. We basically parked a pretty decent piece away. Downtown Tacoma is not that big. It's big for some cities. If you look at downtown Albuquerque and downtown Tacoma, even though it's a city that's half the size of Albuquerque, the downtown is much bigger. Probably 2.5 or 3 times bigger. If not, yeah, I would say easily. And then when you look at just the skyline, Tacoma looks like this massive city compared to Albuquerque. Even though Albuquerque does have some buildings, downtown Tacoma looks like a much bigger city. But with that said, the downtown is very long, right? Same thing with Seattle. Downtown Seattle is kind of like a giant L, kind of, in a way. Not really a full L, but, and it's very long. So when you're looking at the streetcar, it is, and where we parked near UWT. Walking there, Noelle and I wouldn't be a problem, but again, it is a pretty decent jaunt, right? It's a pretty decent walk. So didn't want to walk a mile, so we literally hopped on the streetcar, got there. It's like 3 stops away. It's at the Theater District station, if that's what you're wanting to know. It's the end of the line as of right now until they expand it. But the Theater District station, which that station is going to move once they do the expansion, and you're right there. Now, with that said, you probably saw the video in the live stream. The streetcar, the Tacoma Link, was just packed. Now, I've seen the streetcar packed before. You'll see it, especially during rush hour, just full of people. Very full. People standing, people just bunched together. The things are, they're just packed. With this McMenamins going on, there was a lot of people going to the Theater District in order to get into McMenamins. So it's just packed. Now here's the concern. Now the streetcars are going to have more frequency in terms of, because last night after a certain time, the streetcar runs every 24 minutes. The headways are 24 minutes. Whereas during the regular times, I think it's 7 minutes or so. So it sucks as it gets later in the evening, and it stops at like 10:15, I believe. Well, that's a problem because McMenamins is 24/7. Now, a lot of the establishments and bars and things like that are not, but it's a hotel, so it's running 24/7. Stopping at 10:15 is a little bit, it's not good in my opinion. But I think that once they expand it, for one, the frequencies will be more. I don't know if they're still going to have that 24-minute headways after a certain time at night. But it would be nice for them to keep the frequency up. And it would also be great if they would actually extend the hours. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. I have to go and basically deal with the girls real quick. Noelle just left. So we're starting our morning. Had to get me some coffee, and it is nice. It's really, most people couldn't drink this type of coffee. It's just so, the way we make it, it's just, it'll knock your shoes off. But anyway, so the streetcar situation, I think, is going to hopefully resolve itself. And, we actually have more frequent service, obviously. But again, hopefully the city can work on getting the hours extended, because 10:15 is not going to work. But it was very convenient. We had people who, I was listening to people who actually, their reaction. And they said that the Tacoma, and these were people who didn't live in Tacoma, but they were saying that the Tacoma McMenamins was the best one. I heard several people say that. Several people had the McMenamins passport program, where if you go to different ones, you can actually get a stamp and you can be one of their cosmic folks. But, there were other people saying this one's the best one. Now, they have a lot of bars and pubs and things like that. They have restaurants in different places. But there are very few that have the whole combination of everything in it. Right, where you have the pub, brew house, restaurants, hotel, that type of thing. This was an experience. I mean, there were so many things to look at. People said in the newspaper articles, there's so many things to pay attention. Pay attention to, and then attention to detail was really on point. I have to agree. There were people pointing things out that we were in the room for over an hour and didn't even notice. Just people walking by, and we would look up and we're like, oh yeah, look at that. And then the kids would find something. There was always something somewhere that you just didn't notice. And so when the owners even say they've had to go in there, and every time they go in, they find something new. There's so many different things to look at. I don't think that unless you go there all the time, you're going to find every single thing that's there to look at. It's just near impossible. The amount of detail in this building is just impeccable. When you see the condition it was in and what they've actually done, insane. We didn't get to go to the tiki bar. We didn't get to see the waterfall. We didn't get to see any of that stuff. The hotel rooms, we didn't get to see that. We didn't get to go see the vault, which is this hidden bar. We didn't get to go see that. We didn't get to go to the game room. None of those things did we get to do in this particular process. Now, with that said, Noelle and I do have a date on Saturday, and we're going to go there again, and we're going to have a lot more flexibility than we did, because we have the kids. We don't have to worry about somebody getting stepped on and the crowds and everything. We did see the concert venue. We can kind of peek in and saw that, and that was jamming at the same time. So this building also has a concert venue inside of it. And so it's insane. And the concert was free. I wanted to check it out, but again, the girls, it was kind of difficult. But it was an insane experience. So I think that there are a lot of growing pains that obviously McMenamins, I don't think they anticipated what was happening. I think they planned as best as they could, given the circumstances. But when you take the combination of several things, one, this has been a building that's been neglected for way too long, and it just sat there and it was just destroyed by graffiti artists, by nature, everything else. So people wanted to see this building restored because it had so much to offer, and it's a historic piece of Tacoma. So I think just that part of it alone, people wanted to see it again. There's people who have been in this building before, hadn't been in it for years, and then finally they get to walk into it again. I think that added to it. There are people who are just huge fans of McMenamins and what they've done. Now I'm a fan, have to say. And when we go to Portland, we're going to check out, they're from Portland, we're going to check out some of their places there. We're going to be going later this year. So, just there's fans of them, so obviously they want to check it out. There are people who are trying to fill up their passport books. So this is a stop that drove down. Tacoma to Portland's not that far, so you have a lot of people that were doing that. You had people coming from all over the region. You would hear some from Burien, some from Seattle, some from Everett, some from different places, Portland, California. There were people who were just coming to Tacoma, sometimes for the first time, and they were staying at other hotels because the hotel there is a little pricey, but it's also just booked. I mean, Noelle and I, we were looking to see if there was a weekend that we could stay, and it was booked all the way until July. We couldn't find anything. So it has been booked up. So it's a huge success. Another reason why this was very popular is Tacoma is just thirsty for something, right? There's nothing down here. You don't have a lot of investment from companies in the region. You just don't. There's no big corporate companies that move here and take their chance with Tacoma. They put it in other places, and again, there's oversaturation. Amazon is in the news again about their worldwide headquarters, and they're thinking about putting a lot of more people in Bellevue, and they're doing that, and they purchase land and all this other stuff. Well, that's commonplace, right? Bellevue has gotten a lot of attention lately, and Amazon's building 40-story buildings and all that stuff. So we're used to Tacoma being bypassed by Seattle and Bellevue and every other place. And so for some folks, this was Tacoma pride coming out. Literally, people wanted to go there just to support McMenamins for taking the opportunity as a fairly big company that has chains everywhere. The fact that they invested in us, they believed in Tacoma, and so a lot of folks wanted to pay that back, and we definitely did pay it back. I can look at our receipt, and we definitely paid them back well. But I mean, with 5 people, yeah, we did. But it was worth it. So I think that was part of it too, and just the entertainment piece that was missing. So you have all these different things, the concerts, different things, and it really made this place pop. And I think you're going to see that often. I think that the staff and the guys apologized for the meal. The server, which has no control over it, apologized for the meal taking so long, and the staff was just nice. Everyone that we encountered was very nice. I have to say, some people are very worried about that. There's some places downtown where you can go and people act like that work at different bars and restaurants. They act like you're basically a nuisance. That's not the experience I got at McMenamins. At McMenamins, everyone that we encountered was nice. Everyone. People outside, there was basically, manning people, telling people where to go. Nice. Inside, when you walk in, the person was very nice. In one of the chaotic restaurants, it was very chaotic. The lady had this pad, and she was just really going, and she was situating people and putting them in different places. She was extremely nice. Even though there were other people talking to her, she was still trying to talk to me. The server was really nice. The manager of the restaurant was really nice. So the customer service is a 10. 1 out of 10, 10 been the best. It was a 10, period. So it made up for the fact that it took forever to get the food, but when you have it was slammed well after we left. I mean, it was slammed the whole day to the point of where this facility ran out of food, ran out of drinks, and different things. Yeah, I mean, it was their first day. So it was an experience, and I think that McMenamins didn't expect that. But again, Tacoma has been neglected so many times that once we do finally get something like this, we really and truly go and we live it up. And a lot of people were saying this was the best one out of all of them. McMenamins says this is the most challenging project they've ever had, given the condition of the building, the size of the building. They have bigger properties, I think, but just it's a pretty large structure. And they had to work with everything. Sorry for this blur. Hopefully it will fix itself. There we go. So, given all of those things, it really made up for it. Now, Search Tacoma is next. Hopefully, in the Dome District area, we get Top Golf. Top Golf is going to probably have a similar reception. And I say that because of the simple fact, A, there's no other Top Golfs in the state. Now, they're putting little lounges, and I've talked about this, and, Renton may get something. But as far as I know, Tacoma is the front runner still, because there's a lot of things the city has to do, and they've ironed out a lot of things and all of that. If Topgolf actually does come in the Dome District, then we have two bookends, McMenamins and Search Tacoma to a degree, but McMenamins especially, big entertainment, and then Topgolf, massive entertainment, and two different ends of downtown. And then right in the middle, kinda in the middle, is the Tacoma Town Center, which is a mall. All three of those things put Tacoma pretty much on top in the region, in my opinion. Now, you can talk about Seattle and the different things that it has to offer. That's great. But when you hear the comments of people saying, oh, it's so clean down here. You didn't see any trash downtown. We took, the Tacoma Link. It was clean on the inside. I mean, the vehicles are very old at this point, but it was still pretty clean. I mean, they're showing their age, but it was clean. The streets were clean. McMenamins was impeccable. I mean, obviously. I saw a waiter, a piece of paper fell out of her pocket, and I saw that, and I was going to see if somebody was going to pick it up. So I answered a question for sweets, and then I turned back around, it was gone. So someone quickly picked it up. It didn't just stay there. The tables were clean, even though it was chaotic. It was clean. The person that was cleaning up, there's people who are, that bust the tables. They were very concerned, saying, "Hey, is your ticket right?" Like, they acted like they were the manager. That's what got me. The staff, the folks who were just everyday workers, acted like they were the manager, saying, like, "Is this done right?" Or that's like the level of customer service to me, and hopefully will stay, was just on top. So customer service was a 10, cleanliness was a 10, attention to detail was a 10. Pretty much everything about the whole, experience was a 10. The only thing that they actually get a knock on, and you really have to give them a little bit of leeway, was the amount of time it took to actually get service and get your food. So I would give them like an 8.5 still, given the amount of people and the amount of stuff that they have to push out. It was just insane. Even with the 40 chefs that they have, they were still struggling. So that is how bad people want this stuff here in Tacoma. Town Center project is going up pretty quickly. I haven't talked much about it, but I've been driving by checking it out. They're working on the 7th floor. The Town Center is huge. So they're working on the 7th floor of the Town Center. Part of that's a parking garage. So that project's going to have parking. I don't think it's going to be able to handle the rush of people, but it's going to have parking. And so they're working on the 7th floor of one of the buildings. The retail section of that is still all skeletons at this point, but they're coming along pretty quickly. And they're putting up the last floor of that first part of that complex. When you look at the Marriott, the high-rise hotel going up, that's like 20-something stories, the building just keeps rising. It's a massive, massive building. I've done videos talking about they're going to add another tower to that, which will be all residential. Seems like that's going to be working on. They're going to be working on that, and I think the plans are starting right now. They've received the funding for it already. So they're going to be working on that, and it should be going up in the next little bit. But anyhow, the hotel part of it is just insane. It looks really, really nice. So a lot of development going on in Tacoma. McMenamins, hats off to you. That was really and truly a great experience. That's going to be probably where we hang out at. Couple that with the fact that Flat Stick Pub is also going into kind of the same area. Downtown Tacoma really now has some entertainment options that it didn't have before. Huge game changer. You got to check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.